Hey there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nihato, and in this video I'll be reviewing Embergen 1.0. So Embergen 1.0 just released like a while ago, and I've been using Embergen for almost like 6-7 months, and I've been a great fan of Embergen, and Embergen has been a great deal for me. It helped me personally in a lot of VFX things and artworks and stuff, and Embergen 1.0 is now released and it's out of beta. So I just thought, why could I not give a review about it, because I'm so big fan of it. So yeah, I just thought of it. So let's just begin by making myself small. So here, if I go to my desktop, one you can just click on over here, or you can just go click on Embergen. Now the best thing is the new splash screen, which is great, and new home screen, which we never had in the previous versions of Embergen. And we have all of these things. A quick tutorial of home screen. Should I even do that? Anyways, home we have all the recent projects and default smoke, fire, and explosion. You can just start from it. It's the default thing. You can go over here, you can mess around with settings, make your own thing, and learn. It's like, for example, if you install Photoshop, you get a quick tip thing right on how to use Photoshop. The same thing. You have a basic overview. You can click on it and learn about Imagen and stuff in the software inside. You can go tutorials and live stream, which is directly connected to Django Effects YouTube channel. Presets panel is the most interesting and my most favorite one, because in the previous versions of Embergen we used to drag the .ember file and then wait for it to load, and then, at least because I have a very small level GPU, I was about like, I used to wait, and then I used to see, oh yeah, if this thing is perfect, if this thing is fine, if that thing is something which I could use, and that would be a pain in a pain, right? I don't want YouTube to remove me. So uh, now it's easy. Now it's actually very easy. You can view all these presets. Like, imagine in the previous version of Embergen, if I knew Blender Gen Donor, what was it? Now I know it because I can see it. What does it do actually? And the best part, there are classifications. You can go to fire and smoke. You see all these things which have fire and smoke in it. You go to explosion, everything that has explosion. You go to magic, everything that looks like magic, or everything that is not all these things. Particles, everything that has particles inside it. And then the best part, 8 GB and 24 GB of GPU. I have a 4 GB GPU, which kind of sucks. It's not so beefy and stuff. But if you have a 24 GB GPU, you can just go ahead and use that, because this is just like a warning for us. Like, I would never start things with this thing, because I even have tried this thing, like, and it did not work. The 8 GB one, that worked fine. Uh, the 24 GB one, that used to lag my system like hell. So these are all these things. So let's just begin. I have a new project. Let's make an explosion, because why not? So the first thing you see is a new bounding box, which is my most favorite thing. In the previous version, you just had a red overlay of whatever things which are beyond bounding box, and now we get to look at the bounding box, which is so minimalist and stuff. It just blew my mind, and I'm just a fan of this thing. So I go press R, see, and even the rendering style. In the previous version, I guess you would remember how it would render stuff. If not, I just put a photo, if I could, of how this thing would render, and now it's so good. You can again go to unlit mode and go again all this stuff, and B for bounding. All the things are same, and we have a node preset. You have everything set up. You go emitter type, you just take it, you just put it. Then we have our new particle things, we have turbulence, we have all these things. Why did they give turbulence? Because in the simulation tab, if you go to force now, you don't find turbulence in the force. But they've added all these things which does not need turbulence, and which makes the effect more cool. We will not miss turbulence now. So we have all these things over here. You can just look at it. The best part, again, rendering. Look at it. So if I show it to you, see, this is a rendering tab. So render all has all these things. Emissive, only emissive particles or emissive part of the render, right? So you can get one part, or we call it a catalog or a capture. So we'll get render all as a capture, which is over here. We'll get alpha as a capture over here, and we can get another capture, like for example, let's take emissive. For that, if you need alpha, you just go make it RGBA. I hope you can put it like that with the same one alpha. Or if you just to organize personal stuff, you can add in an alpha again and then put that over here. You can just do all these things, right? Anyhow, all these things, and you can multi export this thing, like you can export all these captures at the same time, and you go export settings and render settings, everything over here. Export pdb also is there, which can transform, I don't know what, you can like import something. And yeah, the best part, you can, like multiple imports are now supported. And I guess I know that it works on Linux as well right now. Alright, let's begin with this thing. We'll use some particles as well. So first thing, I'll add a sphere. Boom. That is my explosion. How does that look? No, I'm kidding. So we go to volume and we go to emission. Let's not worry about the particles now. We'll look at it later. So here's the volume. I keyframe it. Sphere rate. Click that. We'll put it like 500. 500 is not so. You can add like 250 and stuff. About 10 frames or 12 frames. We'll add another one. We'll make it zero. We'll do the same thing to smoke thing, or you can also just add in the smoke emission thing. So it just is add, and then now it's no emission, which is also the same thing, but this would be more good if we add smoke weight to it. So we'll add it over here. So actually drag this thing over here. So now if you go to graph editor, you can see all these things. Oh, we need to make it 250. Yeah. One thing which I miss and which I want back is in the simulation, if you go to force, we had this thing called as block Z minus, which is ground, block Z plus, which is ceiling, block X right, X left, Y right, Y left, and all these things, which we don't have now. We just have a solid ground. So if I turn it, for example, if I just make it a little bit low, and if we go back, so now if I play this, you see, it just goes away. Now if I check this, you see there's an interaction to the ground, right? Let me go to visuals, shunt, perfect. Now I can disable it. Now I have this. Maybe I can make it like 350. Boom, that is so sick. Now there's our basic explosion. I'm not going to detail and stuff because it's just an overview thing, kind of thing. And we can go and over here we can just change the colors and all that stuff, which we will go to in the later part. And transform, which we have nothing to do with. Additional pressure, which I have to keyframe. Keyframing actually makes you might think, if you're a newbie, you might think keyframing, I don't like it in Embergen, but keyframing is the main stuff which you need. I'll make it 10%. Let's see. Oops. Perfect. You know why will I make it small now? I mean, less explosive, because I'll add particles and I'll inject the velocity, which I'll show it to you. You might be excited. So, boom. That is so cool now. Oh, there's still temperature, right? So if I go to shading, fuel, Hold on, it's not there. Temperature, which I don't care. Perfect, we have this thing. Now we'll make the simulation size a bit bigger and stuff, which we could go over here. 150, 150, 300. Now we'll add few forces. We have minor turbulence. We'll make it actually work. So we'll go over here, add an amplitude of 15. We'll make it like few frames like that. Add another amplitude which will go to 0. You know what? We'll make it 25. We get a lot of amplitude because after that, that is where the simulation. You see how much there's the difference. You just can't find it. It's like a very minor detail, but I find it have a lot of potential. Alright, we have this. We'll shade it later, but we have to still look off particles. Now we'll turn this thing off. We'll turn on particles. So you see this. Particles have their own simulation. So they have their own smoke, they have their own fire, which you can take away. If you are combining this with volume, you can take away, which I'll come across. So in the emission tab, I just need a burst emission, not a continuous emission. You see, this thing also works quite well. You see, this is a basic thing, right? I have particles. I will add particles over here. We'll come here. You can just mess around with all this thing. They have entangle, clump, and all that stuff. But we can't see anything, right? But if you go to rendering and render particles, now you can see them. Now you can see them legit. But they cannot be seen now because the particles are frozen. So we just have to make it like that. And you might ask me, how you just said particles frozen and there's no particle, because of the life. You make a big life, now you play, still stays there. See? Yeah. But we don't need this thing, but we need a frozen particle. Oh shit, damn it. That is too wild. Just delete this thing, make a new fresh one, which is over here. So we'll go render. Alright. Now, why is it heavily messing up the simulation? Because it's injecting the velocities. So as I said, if you take this away, you just have it just has its own simulation kind of thing, right? So if I just put this, so you can see it has its own smoke and fire, as I explained. So this thing is interfering with that thing, and it's, you know, kind of getting multiplied and stuff, and giving us this huge. So just simple thing, just turn it off. Now turn it on. Now wherever this simulation from volume goes, the particles will follow that. It's actually simple. It's actually very simple. Now in the life, I will go. We'll make a burst emission. Right. Now I need this to be rendered beautifully. I'll just add an emissive. I need not much of a particles as well, so I need to be caring about that. Alright, this looks good. You can go to simulation, do all these things, which was mostly like the thing we saw in the previous version was the same thing. You can have a gizmo to know how the simulation is working. So there's this explosion that is going up. You can see with the help of arrows how this thing is going. which is so cool. And not only this thing, anything you go, you have a visual representation kind of thing. How was this done? 25. So everything you have it. So you can see everything. You have control of everything. So everything is over there. You can just alembic particles. You can export them. You can export VDBs. And now look at some shading style. So you can see the result on your screen, and I hope you like this. Embergen 1.0 is so cool. I just love it. So thank you so much for watching. I'm your host Nihattu. Bye bye.